So I want to know, because it's, and there's a reason I called the show Soul Safar, because our soul is constantly going through a journey, and I'm very interested in knowing, we've never spoken about this before. I want to know, what is your journey? What brought you to spirituality or awareness or awakening, whatever we want to call it. So, yeah.
So, Bhav, interestingly, everyone has a story, right? I mean, we are just stories, frankly. In my case, you could say the wound became my destiny. Okay, and it wasn't an easy life at all that I chose for myself, for sure, because there was not one fixed event that happened and then that set the course for me. It was series of events that kept happening, and with that wound, what I could do, either I could just sit and just cry about it, just play all the time, oh, I guess can't do anything with life, or then with that wound, I could take it and make something out of it. The wound doesn't go away. It's there. The scar will remain. Scar remains, Bhav. But what happens is, how we look at it, after some time, it is just a scar, you know, it's a part of, like the tattoo that we get on our body, on our skin. It's a part of our skin. So, yes, that's how my journey began. And like I said, multiple events. As young as I was, around 7 years or so, when I was circumcised. Okay, and that was a very gruesome thing to happen to me. And it happens to several girls all over the world, in fact. And it was done on the pretext of taking me for a movie. And that, what happened at that age, I wasn't aware. Of course, physically I knew what's happening because it was completely very done in a very terrible manner. But what it did to me psychologically and in the space of my personality, it shut me down completely.
Right.
And I didn't have the courage after that to ask even my mother what happened. And that, what happened at the age of 6, 7, it opened up when I was around 36 years old. So at that, because those were times when I was questioning myself a lot. I had begun to question myself that, okay, this is happening, what is the reason? This is happening, what is the reason? Why am I doing this? What's my behavior? So my personal reality actually started becoming my reality. And that was my personal reality that happened. And my mother, who lived abroad, and she lives abroad, I asked her, I sent a mail to her. And I asked her, Ma, what happened when I was around 7? You know, because I know that there is something like this that has happened to me. And I know that part of my body is missing. So what is it, you know? Tell me, can you tell me? And the poor thing, I mean, my heart goes out to her because even she did not express that moment with me. And she wrote a mail and she started off with saying that, baby, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. You know, and then she said, I got to know now because she saw a show about taboo subjects and she saw this happening and then she said, oh my God, this is what happened to my child. So then she said, I got to know through that show that something like this happened to you.
It's very interesting you're saying it, and I'm sorry because you mentioned, and I don't know what female circumcision is.
Yeah.
Like I thought that could only happen to men.
Yeah.
But would you be okay to talk about it?
Of course. So there are different levels of clinically. What they do is they cut a piece of the clitoris. Okay, but depending on who is doing it to you, okay, under what circumstances. Like with me, there was no anesthesia, nothing. It was just a blade and the skin gone. Okay, but at the level at which it can go, we don't know.
Right.
If you read up, there's a lot of information on the net about it. And in fact, when this, so if I were to tell you that this is what has happened to me, but with some other girl, something else would have happened.
Right.
Because how it's happening, nobody knows.
Right.
But I know because it's my body.
Right.
And I begin to understand my body now after all these years, frankly.
Right.
I didn't want to look at that part.
There was also something very interesting you said. You said, this is the life I chose.
Yeah.
what do you mean by this is the life that I chose?
Yes.
As a, like you didn't choose as a child to do this. So what do you mean by that?
Now I can say this very strongly, Bhav, that this is the life I chose because now I see the power in this. Okay. As a child, of course, it was why me, why this is happening to me was the constant chatter. What do I mean by that is every soul comes with their own blueprint, right? It's like a, mere haath mein ek mera, there is this given, it's like a scroll, I'm coming with it. I already plan what kind of experiences I want for my evolution, right? It travels. Soul ka safar hota hai. So that journey which I chose to have in this lifetime, according to me, I have already chosen that. What are my experiences? Who are the people I'll meet? What kind of experiences I'll have? Who my parents even? I chose my family as well.
Right.
So this is my belief that a soul already plans everything and comes. Even this podcast is planned by our soul somewhere and everybody involved in this podcast.
And this is what they call a soul contract between two different souls?
You can call it soul contract, some call it soul journey, some call it whatever you choose to call it.
Right.
There's no fixed, nobody can say, okay, it's just labeled like this. There are no labels in this journey at all.
Right.
No labels.